Welcome back to Fiercely Unfiltered. I'm your host, Kelly Renee. And tomorrow is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day. So I wanted to take today to touch on miscarriages and how that was a part of my journey and how it is more common than you would think. About 10 to 20% of all females will have at least one miscarriage in their lifetime. And only 5% of women will actually have two consecutive miscarriages in their lifetime. And only 1% of women will actually have three or more consecutive miscarriages in their lifetime. And I'm in that 1%. And when you think 1%, you think that's so small and so rare. And on an individual level, it does feel rare. If you broaden it to worldwide, there's 1.99 billion women in childbearing age in the world. And out of that, 20 million have had three or more consecutive miscarriages. So when you look at it a bigger picture, that's a big group of women. But it doesn't feel like a big group when you're going through it and the numbers say 1%. But I want to give hope too, because research says that 85% of those women that had that miscarriage will go on to have a healthy pregnancy. And if you had two miscarriages, you still have a 60 to 65% of having a healthy pregnancy. So there is hope, but I understand that once you have one miscarriage, when you get pregnant, it's no longer just the feeling of hope and excitement. It's kind of like a tug of war between hope and heartbreak, hope and fear. It's like, how do you get excited about something that you know the chances of losing it are horrible? And for me, I had two different stages in my life. I had two healthy pregnancies when I was in my 20s. And then I'm naive. I didn't really know everything there was to know about things that can go wrong, statistics, miscarriages. I just wanted to have a kid. So I tried to get pregnant, and I was pregnant within 30 days. And it was an easy pregnancy. And I went on 16 months later to have another son, which was also very easy to get pregnant when I was in my 20s. So for me, I didn't experience miscarriage before I had kids. So I got to enjoy pregnancy without the fear of having a miscarriage first, because for my second season in life, I tried to have more kids in my 40s. I think I actually started when I was 33, to be honest, but it went on for 9 years of trying. And in that time, I had 4 miscarriages, 4 natural miscarriages. One of them was actually an ectopic pregnancy where I had to go in for emergency surgery to have that one removed. And to go through 4 miscarriages was very hard on me. But it was something where I didn't give myself a lot of time to grieve, because when you're on the mission to have a kid, that's your goal. And I was already in my late 30s. I didn't have time to be sad about it. I needed to move on and go on to the next step, because, I mean, back then, now people have kids so late in life, but I understand that as you get older, it gets harder. I think there's only like a 9 to 17% chance of miscarriage when you're in your 20s. Then when you get up to 30, it goes up to 25%. Then when you're 40s, you're at a 40% chance of miscarriage just because of your age. So it's terrifying, pregnancy in a later age in life, when you understand more. I always say ignorance is bliss with whatever, because if you don't understand the factors or the risk, there's nothing to worry about. So being in your 20s and being naive and going through a pregnancy that was easy, I'm glad I got to experience that, because after a miscarriage, pregnancy is never the same. You're excited because you have an opportunity for it to be successful again. But at the same time, you know any second it can end. And for me, I lost them all before 7 weeks. So I used to always tell myself, at least I lost it early. At least it wasn't later on in my pregnancy. And this month is also about infant loss, which they define that as a pregnancy loss 20 weeks or later, or also a stillborn, or an infant loss before the age of 1. And that was never a part of my story. But I want to hold space for the women who that was. Because that is what I used to go to in my thoughts to get over being sad about my loss. Is I would always say, at least I didn't have to carry it and have a stillborn. Or at least I didn't have the baby and get to hold it and then lose it. So I would always think of someone had it worse. But grief isn't a competition. It isn't measured on a scale. It's different for everyone. And a baby loss at 6 weeks and it's stillborn, for each mother, it's devastating. But you always do think of someone does have it worse than me. And unfortunately for me, my second phase wasn't successful. I even went on to IVF and IUI, and I will go into that on my next episode. But this episode, I just want to talk about the emotional toll that miscarriages have on the experience of having a kid if you've never had one before a miscarriage. And you never get to experience the joyful experience of pregnancy without fear, without knowing heartbreak could be involved. And that's sad not to be able to have that experience. But for the women who do have miscarriages, a lot of them get to go on to have healthy pregnancies. So hang on. I hung on for 9 years thinking that if I keep going, like it's meant to be, like what am I doing wrong that God isn't allowing me to have a baby? But there's homeless people, there's drug addicts, that people that don't want babies have babies. But someone who wanted it so bad it wasn't happening. And it was hard to go through because we didn't even share it with our family most of the time, because in the beginning you do and everyone's excited. But to have to share that you lost it with people you care about just makes you have to relive it that much more. It's almost easier to go through it alone because the roller coaster of emotions is a lot for you. And I know when my mom was around, I used to tell her, and it was like I could see her pain in her eyes for me, which almost made my heart hurt more than it did for myself. So I stopped sharing when I was pregnant with people when I had a miscarriage. And I would just hope that it would happen for me someday. But I want you guys to also understand that in that moment, I thought my life was falling apart. I was devastated that I wasn't able to have a baby for my husband or to expand the family that we always dreamed of. And I painted my nursery pink. I tried to live with hope that it would happen, even after heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak, because I know that if it was the time that it was going to be successful, I didn't want to look back and regret the journey because it was so full of fear. And I look back at my life now and I think about all the unnecessary worrying and anxiety. I know it's easier said than done with just enjoy it. But I really wish I would have, because any extra ounce of worrying didn't change the outcome. It was what it was. Like, I could have just been blissful, not worried at all, and the result would have been the same. So I know it's harder to do, but if you could enjoy it and try and take the fear out of it, because what's going to be is going to be, your worry isn't going to change the outcome. So just remember that. Like I said, I know it's impossible, but just keep that in your mind that you can't change the outcome. If you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, it's going to be what it's going to be. And for me, I look back now and I'm grateful for those miscarriages. And I understand that people might not understand that if you're still in that journey, if you're still in that fight. But where my life ended up, those kids are better off in heaven right now. I always say God wanted me to be able to have kids in heaven and to raise them there and not on this earth right now. So you never know where your life's going to take you. never understand if you having this miscarriage is for a reason, if maybe that relationship with that person isn't going to last and you're meant to have kids with someone else. So in my life now, I don't try to control my outcome as much as I did then. And you'll understand more of that when I go into how many cycles of IVF I went through, how many embryos we lost when I go into that journey. But for this episode, because of the day it is tomorrow, I just wanted to go into the emotions that a lot of women have. And a lot of women get depressed, even have PTSD from miscarriages, because it is very traumatic. You're just not losing a child. You're losing the dream. You're losing the future. You're losing all those moments that you've dreamed of with your baby girl, baby boy, just healthy baby. So it's a lot. And a lot of people, if they've never gone through it, I guess don't understand the tug and pull between hope and heartbreak, and good for them. And it's 80% of women never experience a miscarriage. And for me, if I didn't get divorced and remarried, I never would have started this journey over again with more children. So I wouldn't have been someone who had miscarriages. I would have had 2 healthy kids in my 20s, and that would have been my story. But for some reason, I was supposed to get remarried, and I was supposed to go through 9 years of unexplained fertility issues. And maybe that's so I could tell my story now. And so other people understand that this is more common than you think. And it's also hard for people around people, because I know they say, or I know a lot of people always say, well, at least you know you can get pregnant. And yeah, at least I know I can get pregnant, but can I carry it past 6 weeks? I mean, that's just step 1 of a 10-month process. Just because you get pregnant, it doesn't always mean you're going to carry that child to a healthy birth. So I don't even know, going through the situation, what I would say someone who's going through it, because no words can take away that heartache or that pain or that disappointment. Really, I think is the biggest heartbreak and disappointment, and a sense of failure. Because I know for me, if I want to accomplish something, I put my mind to it and I do it. But with pregnancy, it's the one thing you don't have control over. It's the one thing where if you don't like the outcome, you can't hang up the phone and call someone else and try and talk them into agreeing with you. It is what it is. And this is the first time in my life I've experienced that. Because I'm always, if it's going to be, why not me? If I want to do it, I can do whatever I put my mind to, has always been my attitude. So to not be able to have a child when I want one, to spend 9 years trying and then having to give up on that dream. And my dream ended because my husband wanted to get off that train. He wanted to get off that roller coaster. And that's another dynamic. When you're going through pregnancy loss, there's 2. There's the mom and the dad. And not everyone grieves the same way. Not everyone's able to emotionally handle this and support someone at the same time. And some people want to retreat and not talk about it. And some people like me just want to move forward and go to the next step, because grieving in the loss was too much. So give yourself 24 hours to be sad, get your hormones back to normal, and try again. And then it's like almost you get on this train of, I want this outcome. And through that journey, I don't know if I ever sat back and say, do I still want this? Like, I've been on hormones, my body out of whack for so long. Like, it's been 9 years. Do I want now what I wanted 9 years ago? And then that's a battle. And then do you give up on your dream that you tried so long to accomplish? I don't know. I ended up selling that house that had the pink room. I had the chandelier for my nursery. I had it pictured exactly how I wanted it. I had Hope was going to be her name. And Every time I lost a pregnancy, if it was a girl, it was Hope. And I never changed the name. That was going to be my baby's real name. And when I went through IVF, I put twins in a couple of times, and it was going to be Hope and Faith. And it was always going to be their names. I didn't mourn them like they were dead. Instead, I just moved on like I needed to try again. That wasn't the death of my baby girl. That was the death of my first attempt, is how I looked at it. But now that I'm healing from everything I've been through, I realize that I should have took more time to heal from this miscarriages, because everyone who's tried to get pregnant or has got pregnant know as soon as you find out, maybe even before you find out, you think about, if it's positive this month, this will be the due date, this will be the name, these are my plans, and you already plan all that out. So to have to let go of that is hard, but I've let go of it because my life is better now because that happened. And I look at more of, it didn't happen to me, it happened for me, because God heard conversations that I didn't hear. He saw things that I couldn't, and he knew that wasn't the future he wanted for me. And I thank him so much for that, because now I get to heal myself, love myself, know that I am whole by myself. Today's a heavy day for a lot of people. If you know someone who's lost a baby or an infant or a child at all, October 15th is the day that they take to remember that. So be gentle, be extra kind. You never know what someone's going through, but the grief will show up at unexpected times. Because I know I missed a lot of baby showers, a lot of different things in my life because of the pain I was going through that I tried to push down. But when someone announced a baby or someone had a baby, even though you want to be so happy for them, your heart is breaking inside. So it sucks that you lose out on other people's special moments because of the pain you're going through. But that's just how it is. There's nothing wrong with it. Give yourself grace. Give yourself time. Everyone's going to heal different. They say this lingers on for some people for a long time. And for me, I still feel the loss,